Yeah, well, they are like 12 suggestions. So if you want, we can go through that, or I see to you, Scott, whatever you.
Sure. I mean, I would be interested in hearing, so just for context for us, one of the things that the board is doing for all of our awards of excellence and all of our honorary awards, and I mentioned in an email, is, you know, we're in the process of getting a handbook developed, and we've asked Tim Brock to develop that, and as a place to document the processes that we use for our awards, so that all the committees, if you had a change in leadership, the committees keep functioning the same way they have been, and that we make sure that all the information that committees need, that the board needs, that ISPI, the society, the staff needs, that all that's written down so that we know who gets what, when, where, how, those kinds of things. So I am interested in, and maybe Mariano, hearing from you a little bit on how many years have you been running the Kaufman Award now?
Well, the Kaufman Award, I will remit to the, started in 2014. I'm sharing now the screen, the main screen. So they started in 2014, and basically, I've been in charge of the chairing the committee for the 2017-2018.
Okay, and who was the chair before that? Do you remember?
You know, I don't know. Maybe Roger can remember who was before. I have here some of the past awards. 2014, Gonzalo Rodriguez, who's also in the current board. 2015, Francis Hasselbein. 2016, USAID, which repeated, I think, in 2017. No, in 2017 was the Coast Guard, Whole Planet, and Tom Shoes. We started in 2017 to divide the award in 3 categories because we were really putting together a very wide range of non-comparable organizations. So we decided to differentiate social impact on the for-profit, non-profit, which includes government, and social startups that had a social impact as part of their work. And that's why, for example, past year, Whole Foods, Whole Planet, Coast Guard, and Tom Shoes were awarded.
I know Ingrid was chair at one time also.
Okay. And Ingrid is currently one of the committee members. So, So, and these are the awards. What we do also is we show the candidates. For example, let's go to the 2017 candidates, so you have a context there. So at that time, we had in nonprofit the Coast Guard, NACI, which is the National Association for Community College Entrepreneurship. We had Whole Planet and Starbucks for profit, and we have Tom Shoes and Barcelona Activa, for example. And I mention this because the other thing we put in the suggestions, because we found that we couldn't give awards to everybody, but there were candidates that were really deserving a second chance. So we decided to make the candidates, the non-elected for the award that year, run the next year and turn it over the committee. That's how we arrived to the 2018 candidates. Here also. And you see that besides Barcelona Activa, in each category where, for example, we had in non-profit government, Diego Fernandez, Barrio 31, Buenos Aires, and Mario Cheleco, who's the Minister of Housing in Colón, Panama, running for Barcelona Activa and ISPI China, and same in social startup, Elementos Argentinos, and Genesis at the Crossroads, and Settlement Music School. So we had 3 candidates.
Right.
And then the process was, well, each category was defined, and the committee vote that also has these criteria, recheck the candidates, cast the vote, and check the results. And there are matrices for elements. One thing that we found very important was putting all the materials, and each board member is responsible for looking after what criteria are met or not, and selecting the candidates that meet the criteria or meet most of the criteria. And then we have an online vote that is what finally gets the candidates out, the winners.
Okay. Mario, can you help me? Where do the candidates come from? Are they self-nominating, or are ISPI members, or is the committee where do the nominations? How do you get the nominations? I guess is my question.
For example, we are now 14 members at the committee. Why? One of the things I learned in 2017, we learned because some was that one of the roles of the committee members is to propose candidates or look for them.
Right.
Who's going to look for them? Well, they know the award requisites, and they start looking at their area. That's why we decided this year to make it wider, because that way, you know, someone like Josh Wu could look at China or Asia for candidates, and someone from Latin America, some of our chapters in South America, like Marcelo Elizondo, could propose a candidate. So usually we use the chapter network and the members of the board, the award, sorry, as sources for identifying candidates. Of course, anybody having a candidate could address.
Sorry.
But well, that will be the case. So we try to collect, and we have a process, as you say, selection and finding candidates. We took like 4 to 5 months since the committee started until we got all the proposals.
Mm-hmm.
And then
and did I see?
Yeah,
sure. You have like an online form or something you use, correct? Like
yeah,
nomination form.
It's in this section, award. You will see. I have been problems to see myself because I have a. Let me move my. I had to. Oh, it's kind of difficult with this. If you look at this screen, you will see that there is a comparison matrix, and you can download the matrix, and each member, and you have an example also of nomination, and so each member of the board is in charge of doing this homework before. Let me see if I can. Here is, for example, I'm opening the comparison matrix. You see, here you have 2017, and this is what each member of the board feels with the guiding principles that are basically the standards established at the moment, at the time.
And so the committee members use the comparison matrix for each of the, they basically grade or score each nomination.
Yes, when you go in each category, for example, we go to award categories. You have social startups. Then you have the criteria and how to submit your candidate. There is we found this very helpful. We use the online submission so we can collect it easier, and there is a criteria for each one, the definition of the category, and the definition of the award. So this is what you have with some examples of the past. See? So you can and say, okay, these are the criteria, I have a candidate. Sometimes a candidate, you are not entirely sure, but we are in the, we try to make the submission the most elastic possible. So later on, the selection will determine whether this candidate is the best or not. Meaning all the candidates meet all the standards. That's this year was unusually good because we had really very good candidates in all three categories. As you can see in the matrix at the ending, there were major contributions to all the metrics we look at.
And so they're grading them on whether they meet the criteria. Are they ranking them, like, or are they just, is it strictly criterion based in the sense that either you meet the standard or you don't, or are they, do the board, or do they rank them within those, those three categories as well, or three awards?
The idea is there is a quote unquote subjective element, which is not all, you can find that, for example, here are the standards, HPT standards, and here are the mega standards. And you see the mega standards have grades like ABC, like conventional American grades. Each individual member of the committee may have a different grade for this candidate. So this, what you see here, is kind of an average. But the idea is the voting implies that each member casts one vote, and it's based on that these are the candidates that meet the basic criteria. And the one that gets the most votes is the one that is selected. So there are three in this group. So each member of the board selects 3 out of the, I think this year was 9.
So you sort of have two rounds of selection, right? You take all the nominations and you scrub them to see that they meet the criteria, and then those that meet the criteria, then the committee votes on them to pick the best one.
Correct. I already take the survey, so I only can vote once. I was trying to show you.
Right.
This makes it a little less complicated in terms of each member has 3 core responsibilities. First, the member of the committee has to be knowledgeable enough to find candidates. And not only find the candidate, but contact the candidate. Remember, we had that problem with last year. This year, we made sure that each candidate we contact to make sure that this candidate will accept and receive the award.
Right.
So that was a longer process. That's why I asked you for more time, because sometimes they have to find through the entire organization who's supposed to respond to this.
Yep.
No?
Yeah.
But they eventually did.
Yeah.
So that was one responsibility. The second was, okay, you have to apply the criteria and review the list, so you know which candidates are okay to be here. And third, based on these criteria, what I did is putting all this in a matrix so they can look at it at once. That's what you have down there, what download matrix PDF. So they can take a look at all the candidates at once, and each one individual member votes for 3 in this SurveyMonkey. And then we show the results, say, okay, these are the 3 that had more votes, and based on that, we selected the 3 candidates.
Right.
But the others can run next year. The idea is it's just a matter of maybe we compare them to stronger candidates this year, but maybe they are strong enough for being better than the ones that we are going to get next year.
Right.
And they will continue, if they are in social impact, they should be there. So gives us another opportunity to engage with other people.
Right.
Another thing, so these are the three responsibilities basically. So each member is responsible for reading all the material, applying the criteria, going through this process. We try to minimize the time for meetings or whatever through the platform. So each one has no excuse if they don't have time, other than their own time to read. And of course, read meaning, if you go into the more information, for example, you want to know how many, we were going through with Lynn Kearney the other day, and Lynn was telling me, Mariano, I don't find where is the impact for Barcelona Activa. So we went through the, Barcelona Activa has a page in English, and there they were, but they were not in the first page. So you have to look at it. You have to spend,
Right.
maybe 5-10 minutes finding where in all these places is, or perhaps even emailing them to ask for that information. That is responsibility of the board member, because otherwise it becomes too slow. If we have to, collectively go through each one. Plus, most of the members of the board are too busy to get together all at once. 14 people from China to Mexico to Argentina to Chicago to San Francisco.
Not easy.
No. This is what we are doing now is out of the ordinary.
Okay. Rose or Courtney, do either of you have any questions you wanted to ask about the process that they use for reviewing the candidates and selecting them?
I don't have any questions. I mean, I just like all the awards, we want to document the process and have it written down, so it lives beyond everybody who knows it by heart. But how you go about selecting them, nominating them, and selecting them, and vetting them, and all that. I mean, it sounds like a very sound process. It just needs to get down.
Yeah.
I do about the process surrounding that. Then after they're selected, there's kind of a standard process for what happens when they are selected with all the other committees, and I think that's kind of where we should go next, probably.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I wanted to first hear about the process that they're using, and then we can have a conversation with Mariano about the information and flow of things once the committee has finished their work, how that works, and how we're trying to standardize that across our various award committees that we have.
You have another thing that is will be interesting. For example, they focus on outcomes. This is the criteria, the matrix, and what I did last year and this year. This is I took the responsibility of chair because someone has to collect all the information. And what I did is I created this matrix that has inserts, so you can go. Well, this is not working now, but you can go to the page where that information, let me see if I can find Barrio 31, for example. Yeah, here you have, you want to see results. These are results from Barrio 31. Customers, stockholders, environmental. You want to go to Barcelona Activa. I don't know why it's not letting me do it now. This will take us to the page. Here it is. You see the page? This is results. More than 3 million euros turnover, 110 jobs created. This is only one incubator. They have like 5. But we use this because they have collected information with a total companies that are running. 31% of companies do business or collaborate with each other. 189% of entrepreneurs are, that must be 89% probably, and 27% of the firms export. So that meets some of the criteria of the award. So in each one of these that require extra information, what I do is connecting the pages that were provided by those who submitted. So you can find everything in one Excel spreadsheet, but that's possible only at the time of the voting. So it takes a while for the committee members to provide. Of course, the information is not in standardized format, so you have to do some detective work, asking questions or looking into the site, because you can see, for example, if there is a system view or not. Assuming that you are a member of a committee, I assume that you master enough the 10 HPT principles as to see by the way the projects are organized whether there is or not indication of that. Again, this year we're much stronger than the year before. Last year we had several that didn't meet all the HPT standards. That's another thing. Actually, this committee particularly has to apply the HPT standards plus the mega standards. Because when we talk about social impact and Roger Kaufman, of course, we have to talk about micro results, macro results, and mega results. So this is additional for this committee because we are supposed to recognize that.
Right. Yeah, that is certainly a differentiator from our other honorary awards that we give. So.
But
and I think, Mariano. Go ahead.
All this is documented for everybody to read and review on the website. The idea of creating the website was to make it more permanent than files that go from one computer to another. Of course, everything that can be downloaded and put in some place. By our experience, and Roger Addison may attest this, is that it's better to have a safe copy in the cloud, because we never know where things go as years pass in ISPI. So I'm collecting now, for example, we have been a chapter, the Performance Improvement Global Network, since 1998. We have like 140 articles. All of these articles have been for the last, we are going to be 20 years in March. And we keep collecting. We were working now with Roger Addison and Will Dalheimer in even more things. But we are trying to gather all the information in one library online. So whatever happens with the next or the following or the previous, there will be at least one place where we know things are.
Interesting.
Yeah, the idea is, not being staff dependent on that. Because if you change staff, sometimes you lose memory. We have been there several times. Or some, someone else takes over the committee, and then the important thing is, okay, whomever takes over the committee, here is the infrastructure ready. And everything before, so you can add, but you don't lose the whatever was done before.
Right. Yeah. It's knowledge management or content management, or however you want to think about that. It's certainly something the society is at large has struggled with, and yeah, we know that. So, so one of the things, Mariano, that we're doing with all the committees is that, and I know this has been a practice with the Kauffman Award before, is that the nominations come out of the committees, and they go to the award, or to the board of ISPI for final approval, and typically that approval is not. It's some of our committees are better than others at providing information, and it sounds like you guys have a lot of information, and that was clear to me when I went to the website. The challenge that we find with each of the different awards committee is that we have not provided any good guidance on, all right, what sort of a summary of the nominations do we need? Because the board's not in a position to go click on a bunch of different links, to go to a bunch of different pages to try to read which paragraph has the right information. We need to find a way for all that information. And it's not just Kauffman. We have this with the Rumler Award, the Gilbert Award. We'll get 15 pages of information about somebody for the Gilbert Award. But what we need is a one-page summary that the committee has taken all of that information and put it down into the most important and relevant and meaningful, bullets or criteria, so that when the board gets those nominations for the committee, they can quickly read that summary, go, yep, I can see how all this fits, and make that, and cast their vote, basically, for that final approval. How do you see something like that working with the Kauffman Award moving forward? We, the board, needs to find a way to work with the Kauffman Committee to get a summary for the three organizations that are nominated, to get a 1 or 2 page summary document that we can quickly look at and scan it and go, yep, great, perfect, committee did awesome, check, and move on, without having to go back to the website, which I think works great for the committee, not so great for the board, who has, again, limited time like everybody else. So what are your thoughts on how we might develop a 1-page summary or an executive summary of the nominations, or what do you think?
That can work perfectly well. I added in my suggestions in page 2.11c, define a BOD liaison to work from the beginning with the award chair, which means that it's perfectly easy for us to prepare a chart like you have with the links, but also it's important for this thing to be expedited, to really. One problem with the award is if we are going to involve people who really are leaders who are dealing with social impact, etc. These are usually people with hard to get time of them, and we want to make sure that we are, as ISPI, going to respond very quickly. I'm talking about the mayor of Buenos Aires and the mayor of Barcelona, for example, who are the ones who are basically supervising the projects we gave the award to. So those guys, well, the early we get into their screen, the better, and the idea is that the board can quickly review whatever it has to review and get us, give us the free pass so we can contact them. As a matter of fact, I'm contacting these days, next week, the mayor of Barcelona and the responsibles of Barcelona Activa to discuss about the way they can participate to receive the award. And I'm going to be in Buenos Aires next month to talk with the people of Barrio 31 and the mayor as well. So we can see how can we manage this. Here is my caveat. What I would try to avoid is the board should not repeat or oversight doesn't mean, in my view, intelligent oversight doesn't mean that the board has to review if the criteria have been correctly applied. Because if that is the case, that person shouldn't be member of the board, meaning the committee board. We assume that we select the members of the committee because they are competent enough to apply the HPT. They are members of ISPI. There are a series of requisites that we put together for becoming part of the award committee, whichever kind of award it is. So the idea is that limiting that need for going into, okay, is this criteria met? That's the job, in my view, of the award committee member, not the board. The board, yes, has to have a big picture and can ask questions about, okay, we have doubts about X or Y specifically with this candidate or that candidate, which was all available. But going through each one of the candidates is like duplicating work and makes basically redundant the award committee.
There also, remember, there were two board members on this committee.
Yeah, by the way, yeah.
Yeah, and the board for a very long time has always, and approves not the right word. What dawned on me is that the right word that the board, what the board does is confirms. It's much like in the U.S. when there's a nomination that goes for some political position, and it has to be confirmed by the Senate, or it has to be confirmed by somebody. Exactly. That's the board's role, is to confirm. And that's why what they need is, they need that executive summary of what the committee did, of who they selected. We don't need all the details and we don't need all the depth, but we need something, we need enough to go, yes, we confirm, and I agree with you, Mariano. The board doesn't want to spend time diving deep into these nominations and the packages and the information. We don't do that for Gilbert or Rumler. We get a nomination, we get a nice summary. Those ones are personal awards, so a lot of times, we'll get a curriculum vitae or we'll get a resume, we'll get something that has their accomplishments in it. But I agree with you. The board's role is not to assess whether the criteria of each individual criteria. Their role is to confirm that, yes, good candidates, committee did excellent work, and then really we need to work on, the other part we need to work on too is who makes the notification. Historically, the board president has always made notification to the honorary award winners, typically with a copy. Well, last year Klaus had me do it last year. I called all of our honorary award winners. May not always be, email might be the way to go sometimes. I don't know if I can call the mayor of Barcelona, but and I think that's where we could have better coordination with the committee too, is that, once the board makes a confirmation and the notification goes out, then there are a lot of details about getting somebody to the conference and getting them to the right place at the right time at the conference. And I love the fact that you guys on the committee kind of take on some of that work, which is is great. I just want to make sure that when we make notification that it's, you know, it comes officially from the ISPI board or the executive director. You know, sometimes we, you know, put it on a ISPI letterhead,
Yes.
especially
Yes.
when we're, you know, so, and I think we can work out that coordination so that it's smooth and that we, you know,
Yeah.
anyway,
Uh,
because I know, so
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now for this year, I talked with the board this morning. We're gonna confirm, right? So the folks that have been nominated are gonna be the folks who receive awards in April. I have a draft email ready to send to all three of them, notifying them, offering them a free conference registration. And my plan was to copy you, Mariano, for coordination of the details. Because it's, I mean, I don't know if they speak English. Some of them may only speak Spanish. I am certainly not in a position to help answer their questions in Spanish.
Yeah.
So
I would suggest this, and I think this is regarding the communication. First, it's important that the communication arrives to the right person. So,
right.
what I'm going to do is in between next week and the following, I will make sure my main work now is with Barcelona Activa, because this is directly reporting to the mayor of Barcelona, and we can get to her, but I want to make sure we get to her through the most direct way, not a general address. So, because I have contacts in Barcelona and we have ISPI Spain, the chapter in Spain is helping us. We already have a series of people whom, of course, I will not be able to talk over the weekend, but I'm going to be able to talk over the week, so we can see that point, and then I will be able to tell you, okay, this is the person or that is the best to receive the notification. Now,
Right. Yep.
that's perfect. And if you give me the opportunity to see the text, so I can suggest something that relates to the particular awardee.
Sure. Yep. I can send you the draft emails, the language that I have for the draft emails.
I just not communicated officially because I completely agree with the idea that it has to be ISPI itself through the president, executive director, etc.
Right.
But the award chair has another function, and this is what I devised, because at the same time we are members of a chapter, international chapter, the Performance Improvement Global Network, that is supporting financially and with time and the resources you can see the Kaufman Award. So I'm going personally to make sure, I'm working on this, that through the embassies of the United States, those international awardees get notification of the award and get the award, regardless of the fact they come to Seattle, okay? Because the point is making sure that ISPI gets more visibility in the country. ISPI Spain took a big time and chunk of work to get to Barcelona Activa. And same happened with ISPI Argentina. By the way, the president, Marcelo Elizondo, was the one who proposed Barrio 31 officially, with a copy in the city and the persons who wanted. So they know they were running for the award. So the idea is, and I already have this almost finished. I have a meeting on February with the US consulate in Buenos Aires, whom I know. So we are going to see if we can organize a small ceremony where ISPI Argentina will deliver the good news and recognize them with some kind of symbolic present. And same thing with regard to Barcelona. We are also organizing for November a City Doctors First Conference in Barcelona with ISPI Spain. So that will be another opportunity to invite the mayor. And of course, if some member of the board can be there, will be great. But this is a way to for example, the consulate in Barcelona, which is different from the consulate in Madrid, will know ISPI.
Right.
And so we get some friends there, and we will get some newspaper space and some press releases, the things that are important for the local chapter as well to get visibility. Because they are going to deal with that. So that's a suggestion I included in my series of recommendations for the awards, that when the award, let me go to the, I think I have somewhere, oh yeah, I know what happened, yeah. When the awards I put at the beginning, international awardee, present the award also through U.S. embassies in the country. Very important in the case of RKA, which awards social impact, but probably valid in other cases. So suppose you have an awardee in China or outside the United States, Canada. That's also a way to make sure that ISPI gets to be known.
No, I think it's a wonderful idea, and what I really like about what you said and what you guys are doing is that, by making sure that the nomination, that we have a personal connection or to the nominee before the committee does the work, then once they're selected, there's that relationship already exists, that contact already exists, and we don't have like what we had with Whole Planet and Tom's Shoes last year, where we could never. We could never get anybody to answer emails or phone calls or anything, despite our efforts of trying to do that. So, and that publicity, that communication, marketing, whatever you want to call it, is great. And I think it's something that will benefit the society. And it's nice to recognize those organizations in the country or regions where they're working. Not only at our conference is a good place to do it too, but something local is,
the other proposal, and this is a way. One thing that in the most let's put it domestic way, the delivery of the award in a formal ceremony in the embassy makes our invitation to participate in Seattle more compelling. Okay, because you are showing them that you have the support. You're an official entity, that you have the support. It's not just someone asking for funding to travel to the United States, but it's someone who is already there is a consulate that works both ways. So that's a very important thing. And the other thing is inviting the award ceremony for the Kaufman Awards, at least, I think should merit some kind of space to show small snippets and make the awardees explain what they did. We showcase them, and we get at the same time the material online so people can see the things you can see in the website. But they are, in the case of the 3 candidates this year, the 3 of them, as you can see, have their websites in English. They are good in English. They travel frequently, so they would not have problem whatsoever in making a short presentation of what they did. Or we can, that's up to the organizers of Seattle. It can be also a short video, like when you do, if you think of the Oscars, and this is a bad example, but someone dies, and they show screenshots. So people attending to the conference, they see what they did, and that's also some kind of showcase in ISPI.
Okay. Rose and Courtney, any questions from you guys on this kind of conversation, this sort of post-selection conversation that we've been having?
No, not for me. I think it was really helpful to hear the process that was utilized and the process that's been put in place for a while. I definitely like the idea of having the connection to the different awardees. And I think this will be good information for us as we kind of audit all of our awards process and really work into documenting some best practices that our committees have been using.
Good. Yeah. Good.
And, you know, I've been beating the drum since I joined ISPI on getting our processes documented, and I see it on committees that lose volunteers, and I see it, you know, in lots of areas where we lose people, you know, and we just have to get our processes documented, and then there's no question, oh, well, what are we supposed to do with this now, you know, or how come this isn't the same as the other one, and, you know, that kind of thing. And also, if we're going to improve our processes, it certainly helps to have them written down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mariana, you know, we're gonna be working on we're gonna be working with Tim Brock to get this awards handbook put together.
Yeah.
Should we work with you, or is there somebody else on the Kauffman Award Committee that we can work with to get, you know, all these things we just talked about? You know, we don't have to write them, and we don't have to have volumes to write them, but we need to take some time and take a few pages and write down these processes, especially some of this, you know, notifications before they're nominated, and, you know, consulates and those kinds of things. I want to make sure we get that captured so that we do it the same year in and year out, because
Sure.
So my question is, should we work with you, or do you think there's somebody else on the committee that we should work with to help?
I think that I'm the best option, because I will be somehow in the next 2 months involved in all these award thing, because in my trips I will have to talk with awardees. So, and I will be online all the time because I'm working several places as I move around. So I will be happy to help. I'm showing, I think I'm showing now what we have in the global network, and this was what is on top of the Barcelona November conference that we are going to organize. We have here work with Roger Addison, all the foundations and models. We are collecting all the models that are around somewhere. So if you want to see, let's see, Eddie Rambler, you get Anatomy of Performance explained in one place, and you have documented materials. Or so the idea is, again, the knowledge management and the institutional memory, having been able to put together what are the roots of our current practice are all these names there had been members and non-members of ISPI, but people coming for the first time should have also this opportunity. So of course, yes to the help, whatever you want to document, and I'm adding this information that we have at the level of, for example, our country partners, not only our global network, but we have here the country partners with names and last name, and these are the people who deserve also to be recognized, because was their work what helped this year to get the candidates, and the years before where we have done HPT institutes, etc. So this is a small sample of country chapters that are really very involved.
Right. Yeah, which is that's the uniqueness of this award, is that it really is more than just ISPI members, and that's the difference, because our other awards all are really they're focused on our members, and they're, you know, managed by our members. So yeah, so okay, our hour's almost up.
Okay.
I just wanted to see if anybody had any other last questions or comments.
I don't have any. I just want to say thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, Yeah, Mariana, this has been great, and we will be in touch
Really helpful.
because we're moving out on this handbook, and we're gonna basically be asking each committee to help write down what they do and how they do it, and
Wonderful.
so you'll hear from us again soon.
Sure. You know where to find me. Okay.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Great to hear from
All right,
you.
well,
And nice to meet you, Rose and Nancy. And hear you again, Connie.
Thank you. Same to you.
all right, everyone. Thank you for your time, and have a great weekend.
All right, everyone. Yes, have a wonderful weekend. Bye.
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 Okay. Well.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens now.
Yes.
The thing is that and I didn't say anything because these awards have been documented so many times I can't tell you.
Yeah, I guess.
One good thing is